Hello, welcome to my home on this beautiful sunny day. See that sun behind me? Isn't that wonderful? With a real promise of spring. But I can tell you though, if you go outside, it's really quite nippy. And you might hear me rubbing my hands as trying to get my fingers warm again. But it is really beautiful, and definitely spring is coming. And we know that. We've seen bulbs coming up. There's splashes of colour all around us now, and it's just wonderful, isn't it? We kind of hold our breath and we wait expectantly because we know it's coming, and the nights and mornings are drawing out, and we just love this time of year. Well, I do anyway. I hope you do. So, as we were preparing to speak with you today, I was just thinking about Easter and our preparation for Easter. And no doubt we all have different practices, different traditions that happen. And we might decide whether some things are right, some things are wrong, whether we what kind of practices we might want to adopt and for our own families. Perhaps we do special things for Easter, like have a family round for a special meal. Perhaps we go to a particular service where we lift our praises and worship in awe of God. Perhaps we step through some of those more somber services, really. They're very poignant as we try to put ourselves in the place of Jesus and his disciples as they approach the cross. And some of those hard acts that happened, the events that happened that led up to Jesus being on the cross. We might keep vigil. We might set aside days of prayer. We might set aside days of visiting. We might put aside money to help causes. Whatever it might be, there'll be a range of practice across the White Horse team, and it's great because we all do different things. But when we talk about it and we share with one another, we encourage one another, and not into one-man-upship. Let's get this right, but actually to know that we are each stepping out in faith and being led by God to do the things that God is asking us to do. And isn't that a great feeling that we get when we know that we are walking in the will of God, when we are pursuing the life that Christ has set before us and desiring that for ourselves, to be followers of Jesus, to be his disciples. I know some people find that really difficult to think about, that we're his disciples, understanding that disciples were of a particular group of people at a particular time. But actually, we are each of us disciples as we seek to follow Christ, to walk in his footsteps, to try and live out the values that Jesus lived, to try and practice them in our networks, on social occasions, and the different groups that we belong to. We try to be a Christ-like presence wherever we might be, exuding love and compassion, forgiveness and mercy, and also helping people to understand that there is a different way, and that Jesus' life of light and love is available to all. Don't we just try to do that? And isn't it great when we know that we're participating in God's mission here on earth? I really enjoy that, and I hope that you do too. In part of our preparation for Lent, some of us have been taking part in a course called Difference, where we have sought to understand, what does it mean to disagree, and how can we do that well? We know there's a whole history of there's church denominations falling out with one another. We know of particular people and groups in churches that fall out with one another. And everyone gets to hear when there's been a bad word said. But we tend to shy away, and we say, don't we, oh, we're not any good at conflict. So what do we do when we have a difference of opinion with somebody? Because we always have the potential for conflict. When we just walk out the door, there's always potential. We never know when it's coming. And so the course has been helping us to discover But there is an art, really, to 3 particular habits the focus has been on. So being curious, being present, and reimagining with hope. And it's just wonderful. So being curious is about being willing to ask questions rather than judging and condemning, but actually to be curious about, well, what's the difference here? Why are we understanding things differently? What is it that's important to you? What is it that's important to me? And why is it so? And does it have to be either or could it be both and? But we just accept we have different ways of expressing that. And then being present is about being willing to place ourselves in the shoes of the person to whom we're talking, to try and understand life and their perspective on life and the things that are going on, to try and understand why it's so important. And we hope that they will try to do the same with us. But if we lead the way, that makes that more of a possibility. And then there's reimagine, the practice of reimagining. And to do this, we've been exploring the Bible and some of the practices of Jesus, or some of the stories that have been told, and the parables that he told, some of the practices he did. And what would it be like if, rather than disagreeing and having that awful confrontation and falling out and we becoming dismembered from one another, what would it be like if we dreamt a new future? What would it be like if we could speak God's love into that situation? What would it be like for this to become a healthier relationship? And we remember, of course, that people often say that when there's conflict, it's the perfect opportunity for us to be creative. So when something's not working anymore, we can look at it and assess it. We can come together over it. We can hum and ha. What is it? Ask those questions. Be curious. What is it that we need this to do? And then we can be ready to imagine what the future could be and develop it or think about it in a way. And we can do that together so that we will each be blessed by this new action. And why are we doing that? Why do we bother? Why, isn't it easier just to walk away? Well, actually, we remember that if we just walk away, we end up hurting ourselves more. We become lost. We feel like no one loves us. We feel like we don't have a part to play anymore. And that's so not true. But we sometimes we do have to get over ourselves, because what we're working towards is God's kingdom. And we're wanting God's kingdom to come. And so this period between Easter and Pentecost, in the lectionary, we're given the opportunity to explore how Jesus comes alongside his disciples again, and rather than them following him as such and learning, they're still learning directly, but rather than waiting for Jesus to lead the way, after Jesus' death and resurrection, what happens is this empowering of Jesus to his disciples to say, go do it. Go and do likewise. And he's coaching them. It's as if he's coaching them and saying, come on, you know what this is about. We've been practicing this, and go on, you can do this. And, he wants to take the stabilizers off, take off the training belts or whatever it is that it might be. And for the disciples who have been his students to be released, to go and spread the good news, to go and show miracles, and to bring people into the love of God, and just to create a different way forward. Isn't that really exciting? And of course, that is the story that we are born into, that we're baptized into. That's what we hope for one another. We hope for ourselves. We hope for our churches. And so as we encounter Easter, aware of the hurt and the dismembership and the all the different things that happen, let us ponder and pray into those times where we have felt that level of distress, where our relationships have broken down. But let us reimagine that what that future would be like if we could rebuild those relationships, but build them stronger, build them on the values that Christ has set before us, the values of love and mercy and forgiveness. Can we do that? I hope we can. And God bless you.